Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mock Draft Monday 3.0 from the OTD studios. I am Redfish.
I'm Rebo Hustle.
And I'm Mustang.
And we will be mocking on this Monday. If you haven't watched the first two versions, make sure to go check them out on YouTube. Mock Draft 1 and Mock Draft 2 both uploaded. We did a little bit of different stuff on there, whether it was predictive or, what we would do if we were the GM. This one's going to be pretty fun. This one we're taking a little bit of a different stance. This one's a little bit chaotic. We're going to call this Mock Draft Monday 3.0 Chaos Edition. We're going to have some stipulations and rules, but before we get into that, make sure to follow us on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, _Dome Pod. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Off the Dome Sports Podcast. You'll recognize us by that beautiful gold logo that you see right behind Rebo Hustle. Make sure to check us out not only on all social media, but also through our network. That is Be in the Know, KNEAUX, the only way to spell it. A lot of good content coming out over there. We're interviewing people almost every day. So if you're a Louisiana sports fan, like we are with the Saints, LSU, the Pels, they've even got some extra content going over there like wrestling and national media type stuff. So make sure to check out the Know Network. There's new stuff coming out literally every day as part of the network, and we love to partner with them. So if you enjoy this mock draft, I know you'll enjoy everything that comes along with us. So without further ado, let's get into this Mock Draft Monday 3.0. Since I had the first pick at one point and you had the first pick at one point, we're going to give Mr. Rebo Hustle the first pick of this draft.
Maybe.
Allegedly.
So as we get started here, rules, we each get 3 stipulations. Number 1, you have to make at least one trade from your pick. That is trading out, trading up, whatever the case may be, you have to trade at least one of your picks. Number 2, you get a veto pick. So if somebody makes a pick you don't like or you just want to spice things up, you could say, hey, veto, that person can no longer pick that player. And then our third stipulation, you get a pick swap with another one of us. So if Rebo is picking at pick 7 with the Titans and I really like somebody who fell there and I think it would be a really interesting fit, I could say, hey, Rebo, I'm pick swapping for number 7, and then he would take my next pick. And then we would continue in the normal order from there. So I think the rules are pretty simple. We kind of talked about it beforehand, so we should understand how it goes.
Sure.
But again, it's chaos, and us 3 are not always the brightest crayons in the box, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. We ran through this one shortly before we started this, and it was fun. I think I like the idea behind this. I like how we landed on this one because we went through a few other ideas, and those seemed to just kind of drag things out.
A little clunky.
Yeah, just, not ideal, but I think I like this.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fun without adding in a element to make it 2 hours long. Because we're not here to make a 2-hour-long mock draft that is just super out of the box and crazy. We want to have fun with it, but also be informative and give some cool picks. So, with no further ado, Chicago's at number 1, and Rebo, you are filling the place of GM.
Yeah, Chicago has been one of the most chalk picks of all of our mock drafts, and so I wanted to change it up a little bit, and it wouldn't be chaos unless Chicago picked another North Carolina quarterback. So I'm going Drake May.
And that is chaos indeed.
I'm starting off hot.
And we could use our veto, but we're not going to because this is chaos. Yeah. So let's go to pick
Things
2.
Play out. With Drake May jumping the gun, going first overall, a lot of people would say to take Caleb Williams here, say he's the next best quarterback. They're wrong. He's not. Washington sticks and picks Jaden Daniels.
Oh, Caleb falling again is not something anyone has on their board, but it's kind of fun to look at. Now, originally when we ran through this, I kept the chaos going, but this time, let's say even in this chaotic world, people understand that the 101 has to go to the most quarterback-needy team in the league. The New England Patriots. Caleb Williams goes at 3. Pick 4.
This really played out differently.
Not too differently, because I'm going to step in.
Okay.
I'm going to pick swap.
He's going to use his pick swap, so that means Chad over here is going to move up to pick 4, and pick 5 will drop down to Rebo. So, Chad, do what you want with this pick.
So that's one of my stipulations gone.
Mm-hmm.
Can no longer pick swap. Can accept a pick swap. don't really have a choice, honestly. But I still have 2 stipulations left.
Yep.
However,
you can't really veto your own pick.
However, after this, I'm going to have just 1 stipulation left that I will save until I see fit, because I'm going to trade here with both of Minnesota's first-round picks. They see quarterbacks falling, even in an obscure order. They panic. J.J. McCarthy goes to the Vikings at 4.
You know, in a lot of mock drafts, that is a chalk pick for the Vikings to trade up and get J.J. McCarthy, but in this weird, chaotic way, it almost feels wrong. Because Caleb Williams is at 3, it's like, why is J.J. going 4? Like, seeing those 2 names back to back just feels strange.
And I've talked about this before. If you're Arizona with that number 4 pick, I feel like the drop off from Marvin Harrison to one of those, under the radar receivers isn't so much that it's not worth 3 first-round picks. And doing this deal with Minnesota, because they already had 2 first-round picks, gets you 2 more. You get 3 first-round picks.
Yep.
And they're not all late either. Like, you get 11, and then in the 20s. I think it's a great deal.
I like it.
All right, so being we pick swapped, I have the 5th pick to the Chargers. We've talked about wide receiver in the past, being Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are no longer with the team. But I really think that with this new regime coming in with the Chargers, they're going to go offensive line because they want to run the ball. So I'm going Joe Alt.
I was almost tempted to use my veto there just because you said not picking wide receiver, and then I would have made you pick wide receiver. But
I would have just went Fuaga.
Fuaga. Makes sense. This is, I love chaos. And I think something that could be very chaotic and also something that could happen in real life. Contrary to what's going on social media right now with them saying he's a diva and you have to be careful of him. A lot of teams have Malik Neighbors at wide receiver 1, so I'm going to take Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison to the Giants.
You just have an incredible pro day, one of the best that we've ever seen, and so it makes sense. And he had a better season last year.
Yeah, he didn't come away with the Blitnikoff, but as LSU fans, Marvin Harrison won that on name worth alone, and Malik Neighbors had, like you said, one of the best pro days. It mimicked Jamar Chase's, who went number 5 overall. So Malik Neighbors at 6 kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and last time you saw an LSU receiver go to the Giants, ended up being pretty good. Fell off a little too soon, in my opinion.
But won Rookie of the Year, made one of the best catches of all time.
He was on pace to be one of, if not the greatest receiver in NFL history.
Yeah, he was on gold jacket pace and then kind of fell off.
And then got hit by a kicking net.
Oh. Of course we're talking about Odell Beckham. Pick number 7.
I'm going to use a trade here.
Okay.
I think the Bears trade up 2 spots.
Chicago Bears trade up 2 spots.
Make it happen.
Nice, yeah.
And
definitely did that.
They're going to go and get Marvin Harrison here.
Yeah, that would make sense. However, I'm going to use my veto, so I would like for you to pick a different player.
It's tough being traded up. Well, Rome Odunze does have a different skill set than the 2 receivers that are already in Chicago, and it may even be a better fit than Marvin Harrison, so I'm going Rome Odunze.
That makes sense. I kind of just wanted you to do that because my thought process is Marvin Harrison's kind of similar to a Keenan Allen, so for them to get Rome Odunze is kind of a different style of receiver, so I like it.
Yeah, and then, we have Atlanta. Don't really know what to do with them. They're a pretty young team on both sides of the ball, plus Kirk Cousins. But I think, if when in doubt, build that defense. With that being said, I think they're going to take an edge rusher who's a little questionable coming into the draft about his previous health. Because what's a Falcon without a little risk?
As Saints fans, I agree.
I'm gonna go with Liatu Latu to the
Okay.
Falcons.
Leatu Latu. Sitting here at pick number 9. Titans moved back 2 spots. The guy who I would have thought they would take anyway is still there, and that's Fuaga. Talise Fuaga from Oregon State. That's who I'm going to pick at number 9.
Veto.
Okay, I'm going to move down to the next rated tackle on my board, and that is Olu Fashanu.
Okay.
I really don't know why I vetoed that.
I thought he was going to double veto
I
it.
thought about it for a second.
And then I was going to be able to talk about my favorite player in the draft, but we'll save that for a couple picks.
Yeah, I really had no plan behind that.
You just felt like saying it.
Yeah.
It happens.
You just seemed real confident about
Fuaga.
Fuaga. That
I do like Fuaga.
I want to fluster him a little bit.
It happens to the best of us. Pick number 10.
And I'm out of stipulations.
You can still trade because you were
Only
required to
have
make one trade.
Yeah, right.
You can make more, but
Noted.
yeah, no power cards left in the bank.
Noted.
Sir Rebus, pick 10. New York Jets, your favorite to win the Super Bowl this season.
This is what I should have saved the veto on.
Yeah, because this can get real fun being the way the board fell. Because you can pair Mike Williams and a slot wide receiver like Garrett Wilson with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I don't see how you could pass that up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I already used my veto on Rebus once, so I can't do it again.
And now? Arizona's back up with their bundle of picks, their first one of the bunch at 11. I think they're going to stick tried and true to receiver. I think it's their biggest need. And I think the next best up, BT Cruiser.
Hometown boy, BT Cruiser, Brian Thomas. Here at pick 12, this is going to be the one required trade that I have. I know Bo Nix is a guy who gets talked about at this pick because they are such a heavy need at quarterback. But I don't like Bo Nix as a first rounder. I think the DBs are falling and they can, use some help on the back end outside of PS2. But I think with the DBs falling, you look at a team, and this is the team I wanted anyway, like Jacksonville, who needs a lot of help at corner. And anyone they want is right there. So if I'm Jacksonville, I move up and I grab who I think is the best corner on the board. I know you guys aren't fans of him. I think he has the highest ceiling, but he also has a very low floor, so we need to see where he lands. But he just makes sense on Jacksonville. I think he's going to be a very good player, and that's Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah. I mean, you traded up to get in front of the Raiders, who will definitely also go DB here. And I believe it is Tyrion Arnold. Guy who put up some great numbers this season and proved that he can play the ball in the air at least. Not necessarily a lockdown corner, but one that can cause some disruption.
And with the Saints pick here, I feel like it's just best O-line available. And it looks like it's Talise Fuaga for me.
That would have been nice had I not used my pick swap here. I'm going to go ahead and use my pick swap that I get. So you're going to move down to 15 for the Colts. I'm going to move up to the Saints here. And with Brock Bowers still on the board, I add him to that offense.
Get our 5th tight end.
I add him to that offense. Juwan Johnson
He clicked it too fast.
has never... were you going to veto?
Too late now.
I thought you already used yours.
Have not.
I know you have not. Well,
I've only traded.
oh well.
It's fine.
Things happen. You can veto me down the line. But
Oh, I will.
Yeah, I kind of hate you.
Jimmy
for that
Graham's retired. Juwan Johnson has not lived up to expectations since moving to tight end. Foster Moreau didn't see the field very much last season. And Brock Bowers falls out of the top 10 where he's expected to go. Give Derek Carr no excuses to suck again.
Well, his one excuse will be not having an offensive line.
Well, I guess when you put it like that.
Probably his most important excuse. For being
Yeah.
The same excuse from last season, actually.
Line schmine.
one of 2 from last season. So I have the Colts now, correct?
Yes, you do.
Cool. Well, being they also could use some help in the secondary, I think I'll go with the next best corner available in Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Oh,
There he is.
look at all those stats, bub.
You saw a lot of green.
Did see a lot of green.
Yep, that's how much field he lets go. A lot of green.
No. Here, Seattle Seahawks kind of had one of the most perfect draft boards to fall to them. Being edge is a very big need for them, and the 2 best edge rushers are still on the board. The only one off is Leatu Latu, and I believe the better fit for them is Dallas Turner.
If Dallas Turner falls to Seattle in this draft in 2024, that would be one of the biggest steals on day one.
This is a tough spot for said Broncos.
They just continue to trade back.
Yeah, all the way out of the first round.
Gather more picks. They don't have much.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of talent left. And really, I don't think you can go wrong with some of these players. And so I think I'm going to, with the Broncos, I think they will be able to get Bo Nix later on, possibly. And I'm going to go ahead and take Jared Verse.
Somebody who they could have easily taken at 12 and would have made sense, and they get him at 17. So, very good pick there from you, sir.
I would like to pick swap before you start.
Go on right ahead.
Cincinnati Bengals still need offensive line help because they're still aging. Even though they got some help before, they were already old. And nobody better to play a Swiss Army knife role than Bryce's favorite offensive lineman in this draft, Troy Fautanu.
He is indeed my favorite offensive lineman in this draft.
I believe cousin of Penei Sewell. I think
that
I
may
heard
or may
that
not
recently.
be true. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah,
but
I
if
have no
he
clue.
is, it makes me feel even better. I think he's truly a 5-position player on the offensive line. I think he can literally play anywhere, interior, exterior. Honestly, the part I trust him at least is left tackle, and that's where he played in college. But I think move him to right tackle, keep him on the interior, Troy Fautanu can be a staple of an offensive line. That being said, I moved down to 19 because Rebo did pick swap, which is great for me because before we started, I was saying one of my new favorite fits in the draft is for the Rams to get some edge help and a guy who I think is going to go high based on what he can offer your defense, and that's Chop Robinson. I think he is a fantastic player. He's coming out of a proven program in Penn State who produces high-level NFL talent repeatedly, and he's got every athletic trait you could want out of an edge rusher, so he'll go pretty high in this draft. I'll take him to the Rams.
I believe it is me next with the Steelers pick at 20. And when you need offensive line and you see these guys falling, probably not going to happen on draft night. But when one of the top tackles falls all the way down to 20, you take him. So I have the Steelers going Tylese Fuaga. For real this time. He's getting drafted.
He's actually getting drafted this time.
Or is he?
Here I am back at 21 with the Dolphins. In real life, I like this as a trade down spot if the board doesn't fall their way just because they don't have much draft capital and they're a team that has a lot of holes to fill. But with the way this board fell, you look at J.C. Latham right there and you're licking your chops, ready to add him to an offensive line that's lost a lot of good players and needs a lot of help. So if J.C. Latham's available for the Dolphins, that's who I would take.
Yeah, Eagles on the board. We've taken Cooper DeJean the last 2 videos, but I really feel like being they have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back in the building, they need help as someone who's a primary corner, and so I'm going Nate Wiggins.
Okay. Nate Wiggins.
Makes sense. And Arizona's back. Honestly, I see a perfect fit for Arizona.
Perfect fit, you say?
I hate you very much. I know what you're going to do to me. Byron Murphy to the Cardinals.
Great pick.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Cowboys sitting here at 24. I mean, it feels like Amarius Mims is just a Cowboy already. So I'm going to go ahead and take him.
Yeah.
He just makes sense with that
Yeah,
team.
I mean,
Guy that
Cowboys-
play left tackle or guard and doesn't see the field very often.
Feels like Tyron Smith.
Yeah. Green Bay here, clear secondary spot, if we're being honest, especially the way the board fell, because I can't see them reaching for a Tyler Guyton or a Graham Barton before a guy that I believe plays safety in the league in Cooper DeJean.
That'd be a great pick for Green Bay if he falls there.
Did you trade yet?
I have not vetoed. That
Okay.
is my last stipulation.
Again, one of those teams that could really use help anywhere. But I'll stick with the tried and true. Can't go wrong with O-line. Give the Bucks Graham Barton.
Graham Barton's one of those guys who's picking up steam on social media. I've seen him go as high as 14 to the Saints. But a guy who I really trust in the draft community, Daniel Jeremiah, he's always known for being pretty spot on as far as who he says is going to go win. He kind of always has him in that right area. He said Graham Barton is now a lock for the first round. So for him to fall to 26, that makes sense. I've already used my trade, but we can kind of just trade how many we want. We required one, but I'm going to go ahead and use one here. I think with the Cardinals, they already got Byron Murphy and Brian Thomas Jr. They look at their first round, they see it as a success, and they want to get some extra draft capital. Now, there's a team out there who could really use a quarterback in the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they're going to go ahead and trade up back into the first round. They get here at 27. They need a quarterback, and Bo Nix is the guy they want to go for. So I'm going to take Michael Penix.
Bo Nix is the guy they want to go for.
So they're
I'm
going
to take Michael Penix.
I really wanted Michael Penix. I said Bo Nix because I could see Rebo licking his lips back there, wanting to veto the trade. But Michael Penix, I feel like he fits what Antonio Pierce wants. Strong arm guy, has the tools to run, doesn't really do it much. Will get the ball out to the weapons downfield like Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. So Michael Penix to the Raiders after trading back into the first round.
If the Raiders can get a quarterback in this draft who ends up being, let's say, slightly above par, they could have a dangerous team. At least on the offensive side of the ball, they could have a very dangerous team.
I think Michael Penix, for me, his comp is Matthew Stafford. So if you add a Matthew Stafford-esque player to that Raiders offense with Devontae Adams, and they'll have to do something at running back, losing Josh Jacobs, but with Antonio Pierce in the building, scrappy coach, wants everybody to succeed, and the players love him, I think I like what you say about a Raiders team showing up some people who maybe not believe in them now.
So the Bills at 28 clearly need wide receiver. They don't really have a guy. Don't you wish you had a veto?
I really do.
They really need wide receiver. They don't really have a guy that is necessarily a primary receiver anymore. They've got a couple return specialists that they've used as slot guys here and there. But a guy that I really think might be one of the best route runners in this draft, in A.D. Mitchell, could go to the Bills here. I like to see it.
I mean, you would think after losing Stephon Diggs, it's kind of set in stone that it's known that they need a receiver, and if one of these guys is available late in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis both gone. You have to go receiver at 28. You're picking for my loins here.
I have the loins here.
My loins.
Could get your guy and make Bryce very mad.
My guy?
Your last corner on the board.
No, he's not a loin. Could be a Raven, not a loin.
Could be a Raven.
Not a loin.
He's not a Raven. I'll tell you that
In
much.
these eyes.
Not in this draft.
Would you like to swap?
Give me a favor. Pull that drop down.
Sure.
Menu down.
Where are we going?
We're gonna go IOL.
That is
And right in the middle.
bad decision.
We're not gonna go IOL.
Yeah.
It's just Jackson Powers Johnson.
Also, the Lions don't need it.
Could use a guard. Everyone can use a guard.
Fair.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the, in my eyes, the top secondary players are gone. You see Tyler Nubin there. See some promise in him. I don't think he'll make it into the first round. I could see him going early second, mid second. To me, he's not a first rounder. But, I mean, there is definitely some talent right there at the top with Jerzon Newton. And I know edge is a spot they need. Kind of like you have Aiden Hutchinson on one side. It really doesn't matter who's on the other side because he's going to get pressure. But if you can add more pressure, why not? I'll say the Lions take Jerzon Newton. Someone I think might have fell a little too far.
That is a fantastic pick, my friend. My favorite pick of the draft so far.
Yeah,
I
you're welcome.
love Jerzon Newton. And for him to drop to 29 to my Lions. Pair him with Alan McNeil up the middle, Aiden Hutchinson off the edge. What a pick. What a pick. Ravens are sitting here. I mean, Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, the Ravens picking a center just makes sense. However, they have a very young, promising center in Tyler Linderbaum, who they picked in the first round just a couple years ago. So center's not a fit here. I feel like the Ravens always have unorthodox drafts, but they seem to work out quite often. I mean, they were the number 1 seed this year, made it to the AFC Championship. And they always pick somebody who you maybe feel like they shouldn't. And for me, a guy who is not really getting first-round talk, and nobody in his position is really getting first-round talk, out of the linebacker position, Peyton Wilson, an absolute athlete. They lose Patrick Queen in free agency, who goes to the division rival Pittsburgh Steelers. And I like Peyton Wilson here. I think he has all the tools that Patrick Queen has. I think he's a really good player. His injuries are a question mark, but if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be the determining factor of that Ravens defense getting even better than they were last year.
I like it.
Okay. Niners at 31. I'm pretty sure that they're going O-line no matter what here. Can you please pull up the tackle class?
He's right there.
See if I feel any type of way better than Tyler Guyton.
I think so.
No, I think Tyler Guyton is the best tackle left on the board. And we talk about all the time, why not just keep building through the offensive line? And he's a great fit for what the 49ers like to do. They like to run the ball. And Tyler Guyton's one of the best run-blocking tackles in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, the game's won and lost in the trenches. So when you can afford to get a guy who can make even the smallest of an impact for a team at the tackle position, at a guard position, any kind of O-line, it'll always help. And now, with the last pick of this mock draft, my favorite pick, personally. I've been saying this since before the combine even started, when me and Rebo were talking about some prospect players, some players who might have a decent combine, sneak into the first round. I think this guy will. I think he really fits. He's already going to it because he knows what's happening. He's not going to it. I lied. I lied. No, but, I mean, you look at the Chiefs last year. Stop. You look at the Chiefs last year, and their biggest problem was drops. So why not go out and get a guy who you think all the other teams slept on, a guy who's sure-handed, who's going to go up and get the ball, get you that first down. And that guy for me is Ladd McConkey.
You know, I really thought he was going Kamari Lassiter there, but he goes with his teammate, Ladd McConkey. I think this was a fun draft.
I agree.
Chaotic. I mean,
Somehow
Definitely.
chaotic and efficient.
Chaotic, but also makes sense. I mean, for us, it's different than the other two we did, obviously. Specifically starting at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat.
Right
Had to
off the
change it
bat,
up.
Rebo said, let's do chaos if we're going to do chaos, and I love that. But you look at the way the board fell, and if you tell me these teams come away with these players out of round 1, I think a lot of them are really good draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at the board here, and everybody, just give your favorite pick here, and it could be somebody you picked, somebody else picked. But I'm looking here, and for me, Jared Verse dropping to 17, I think, is probably the best value pick in this draft. I know you have guys like Byron Murphy at 23, who I think is a great value, Latham at 21. But Jared Verse dropping to 17, I think Jared Verse he's my edge 1 in this class. I think he has every tool you could possibly have as an edge rusher to be a difference maker. Reminds me of guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, Myles Garrett. So I think Jared Verse is a really good player. To get him at 17 to a Broncos team who traded away Bradley Chubb and don't really have that star player on defense anymore, I think Jared Verse probably my favorite pick of this draft that we just did.
Yeah, mine's the diabolical plan of Mustang/Chad and trading back with the Cardinals to still get
I'm flattered.
Brian Thomas Jr., one of the top wide receivers, and would have been probably the number 1 receiver if he stayed another year, is on par with the other 3. It's just he's getting a little less love. And then you can go Byron Murphy at 23 with that same pick that you traded back with. It's just they couldn't have come out with a better draft, in my opinion.
And what's funny is so far we have picked 3 picks that Mustang made. Maybe Mustang's the draft guy. Who's your favorite pick of this draft, though?
I do my homework occasionally.
Very occasionally.
Most of the time it's in the bathroom. Honestly, this isn't my favorite pick. I'm just saying this. A lot of people are probably questioning why I stuck with Jaden Daniels at 2 instead of taking Caleb Williams, who's the obvious favorite to go above him. And it's because I didn't want to see Jaden Daniels as a Patriot.
All right. I can get behind that.
Plain and simple.
Fine.
Don't want to see him as a Patriot.
Fine by me. No argument.
Now, I did talk about how that Ladd McConkey to the Chiefs just seemed right, which I do think it does. However, it's not my favorite. I think that the cornerbacks fell a little further down than they should have, in my opinion. I could see some of them being top 10 picks. But one, to me, that just makes sense if the board fell this way. And if he's there, you get him, you plug and play. He's great for you. And that's the Colts taking Kool-Aid McKinstry.
A Mustang pick sweep for our favorite picks.
Did I really pick that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
I pick swap to Brock Bowers.
Yeah. Take that.
Good for you, man. But no, I think this one's fun. And also, you look at the board and it's nothing stands out as like absurd. So it was chaotic, but like Rebo Hustle said, chaotic but efficient. Fun drafts. You got some mix-ups there with Michael Penix going to the Raiders in the first round with a trade-in. Like you said, Ladd McConkey sneaks into the first round. And you have guys falling down the board that you wouldn't expect to be there, like Marvin Harrison at 10. So I think this was fun. It made us think a little bit rather than just us throwing out names as chalk picks that we've seen in other mock drafts. It really just let us go loose and pick whoever we wanted to pick when we got to pick them. So I had a lot of fun on this mock draft. This was 3.0. We've got one more coming out, and that'll be mock draft 4.0 next Monday, where it'll be more than just us 3 sitting here. It'll be 2 people who have shown up on the channel before.
Strap in.
Our two best friends of the organ donors, and that'll be Lionel Frankenstein and Clown Car sitting in here with us, where we will do our final mock draft. That one will be predictive. That will be all 5 of us rotating on picks, and we will try to get the most accurate mock draft that we can get based on who is picking where, and even throwing in trades, just for fun. So Mock Draft Monday 4.0 coming out next Monday. This was 3.0. You can go watch the other 2 on our channel. Those came out the past 2 weeks. So mock drafts are fun. I'm going to be kind of upset whenever the draft's over that we can't do them anymore.
We can. There's different sports.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Real creative.
But I think this was a good time. We had we always have a blast doing fun stuff like this, and
Yeah,
I think we need to do
definitely.
more of it rather than just sit here with microphones and talk for 50 minutes. Let's be more interactive. Play games, take quizzes, stuff like that. So maybe you'll see more out of that on this channel. As we said earlier, make sure to check out the No Network. We've got interviews coming out all the time. The two boys here interviewed LSU legend Tyrus Thomas. I recently spoke with Gregory Clayton Jr., LSU return specialist. And then I had another interview today with a guy that'll be coming out later this week, and you won't want to miss that one. It's one of the most influential coaches that LSU's seen in recent history, so you're going to want to tune in to see what we have cooking over at the No Network. Make sure to follow at @BeinTheKnow on Twitter, as well as Instagram and Facebook. Make sure to follow _Dome Pod on X, or the artist formerly known as Twitter. Make sure to check us out on YouTube and Spotify, Off the Dome Sports Podcast with that beautiful gold logo. I am Redfish.
I'm Rebo Hustle.
A Mustang. Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
And we will see you next time.